Get started. Welcome to Mount Juliet Monday. Our good friend Tyler Chandler is going to be with us today. Marlo will help see if there's any questions or anything, but if any of you all have questions, we'll make sure we get them. I'll ask one to get the ball rolling. Very important. How is our K9 unit doing? That was a shock.
Right, absolutely. So Milo's news was devastating news for us because Milo and Officer Barth are a fantastic team. They are, when you compare canine units that work together, they're very successful, and not many canines are as successful as Milo is. He's a hardworking dog. He goes after it. He has great um, scent ability to be able to track people, but also detect narcotics that are out there. So when we got word that Milo was injured, which we noticed this about 3 months ago, and we've been working with Dr. Nicole Harris locally at the Avenue Vet, and she's been watching him. They've been trying to treat him, thinking that maybe it could be rehabilitated, and we believed it to be an injury basically between his knee and his toes, an Achilles tendon injury. And you can imagine with a dog, if a human gets injured with that type of injury, we sit still, it heals up, and we can get back to work. But with a dog, it's kind of hard for them to heal up how they should. And it's likely he was injured for some time, and we just didn't know it till it was absolutely to the point where it was hurting Milo, and he started to raise his leg. But we think it was injured likely in training or on a track with a suspect, something that Milo was doing athletic activity. And we just didn't realize it was injured until we actually saw him holding his leg. Because again, the dog can't just tell you and say, hey, my legs are hurting, right? So Dr. Harris looked at it and gave us a recommendation to seek out help from the University of Tennessee, Knoxville Veterinary Medicine Hospital, which they're like the top of the line of veterinarians, especially for working dogs like Milo. They see a lot of police dogs and military dogs who may be injured. And they went last week for their first visit. We're doing 3 visits with them. And the first visit actually gave more hope to things. The injury appears to actually be between his knee and his hip with a muscle tear. And that is easier to heal and rehabilitate than an Achilles tendon type injury. So the next 30 days are critical. We have a rehabilitation plan for him, and it's possible that Milo will be able to come back to full duty. And with full duty, what that means is he will be able to do the athletic type work, such as tracking, apprehension, going after the bad guy that's running from an officer type activity. We do believe he'll be able to return and do the narcotics detection because that's non-athletic. It's simply just getting out and walking around a car or walking through a home. The athletic stuff with apprehension is Milo may bite someone and then he'll push on that person to drag them out of wherever they're at. Or running, jumping over fences, climbing ladders, going down ladders. That's what we hope he would still have. And ultimately, Mark, we don't want to hurt Milo's quality of life. So if the veterinarian comes back and says, look, there's the opportunity for him to become injured again, he's not healed 100% where he should be, you probably just need to retire him. Then we're going to retire Milo because we don't want Milo to get to a point where he's so injured he can't walk anymore, right? So we want to be proactive in our treatment with Milo to ensure that he does have a quality of life because he's about 4 years old. Work-wise, we probably have another 4 to 5 years out of him if he is healthy, but his life could extend anywhere from 12 to 16 years, just depending on that type of breed.
All right. Well, that sure hope that works out all right.
Right. There's some hope, and that's the good thing is we are hopeful, and we are praying for him, especially Officer Barth, and being an officer that you work with this dog. You're with him 24/7 basically. He comes to work with him. He's at home with him. So it's truly a partner, and it's a different relationship than what we would have with our pets at home, because you're truly around him all the time. And it would be, it's kind of devastating to that officer to know that, hey, this officer's work life could really be cut short than what he expected their career path would be.
All right, well, keep us posted. If I'm not mistaken, either at the last city commission meeting or perhaps the one before that, additional funds for, I'll let you tell, I know it had something to do with upgrades, improvements, certification, something at the police headquarters.
Sure. Sure, and that all comes about with, we are going through a building expansion effort. And I really say it came about March 3rd. I was sitting at my house, and we knew a tornado was on the ground coming from Nashville. And when I'm listening to the radio, speaking with the weather service, we have a special connection to the weather service where we get updates live from the meteorologist as they sit in their office in the Old Hickory area. And they're giving us updates, and they're saying it's tracking down Lebanon Road. Well, we all know our police headquarters is near Lebanon Road, and they then started to say it's starting to take a southerly track. Well, I'm sitting in my basement thinking, we have 3 dispatchers sitting at headquarters in a metal building that's been renovated former church. And I was scared for their life, because I was really worried that our headquarters was going to take a tornado impact. And if it did, it would be extremely hard on our department with response to whatever was impacting the city, both police and fire, because we dispatched for both police and fire. But also, we would have 3 people inside a building that could be rubble if it took a tornado strike, similar to the homes took, similar to the middle school, and it would probably have leveled our building with the structure that it is. So we initiated this effort really recently, just because we need to get a hardened structure, disaster rated structure, to put our emergency operations in should we ever have something terrible like the March 3rd tornado again. But we also need to expand as a department, because we are continuing to grow. We're looking at our strategic plan data. We think over the next 10 years, we're going to hire 40 additional officers within the city, and which will bring us up to about 104 police officers. And we need space. Right now, our current building, we are maxed out in space, both storage and in offices. And we hope with this expansion, it'll get us to a level where it'll put our department infrastructure with the building about 10 to 15 years out, so we can handle the additional growth that we expect to see within the next 10 years. And get us into that hardened structure, right? So if we do take a tornado strike, all of our operations will be maintained. We have received a grant for an entire building, a generator, to go with this structure. We've also received a grant for the dispatch operations part of the structure that's going to go here. So we have about $600,000 in grant money. We think phase 1 of the project is going to be near $3 million on the low side, or if not just under $3 million. And we selected a designer. The architect workshop is our designer. We had 11 firms submit during that RFQ process, and the architect workshop has great experience with dispatch centers, but also police departments our size with expansions. And on their design team, they have a lot of local folks in Mount Juliet that are on that design team to help us get a structure designed that's durable and cost effective for what we're trying to do. And we're going to do it in phases, because what also needs to be expanded is our evidence area. Our evidence area is about a year out before it's maxed out on evidence that we collect. And some evidence we have to keep for 99 years, so that always grows in there. So we're going to have to expand evidence as well. And then we also want to add a phase 3, which are garages. And garages simply to park our equipment inside. We have some vehicles that just sit out in the sun, our message board, our ATVs. We have 3 of those, and some other vehicles, and they just sit and bake in the sun. So their life of the vehicle really is just being deteriorated constantly by the sunlight. And if we can get those items of equipment inside a structure, inside a garage, we will extend the life of those items much greater than what they have now just sitting in the sun. So you're going to see 3 phases come about that we're still working on, still in process. I hope to have it on the agenda this coming Monday if we get our contract back from legal in time. But phase 1 is our emergency coordination center, which is the emergency operations center for the entire city, our communication center dispatch, hardening building, and then the administrative offices. Phase 2 will be our evidence expansion. And then phase 3 would be our garage area and some dog kennels to go along with that. Those dog kennels would be for the canine unit because we hope to eventually expand our canine unit. Because right now with Milo down in his tracking and apprehension.
I think I did it again. I think I posted the wrong thing in.
So do you think it's locked again?
Yeah.
So Kenny has joined us. Welcome, Kenny. I hear Kenny and Travis Taylor, the IT director. But anyway, our phase 3 would be the garage area with the dog kennel as we expand our canine unit.
When you relocated from City Hall to Charlie Daniels Parkway, I may be mistaken, it's been a long time ago, but I thought at some point, in order for certification, something that was impossible when you were on North Mount Juliet Road, that might be possible now, is to build some sort of secure, I'll say fencing to go around the property, or at least have your vehicles inside of a locked, secure area. Is that still on the radar screen?
We already achieved that last year. We were able to secure our parking lot with the gated fencing for our equipment. So that's been secured. And the good thing is the way our property is and the way our current building is designed in a way is we don't have to touch that. So we're not going to touch existing infrastructure improvements where it would look like a waste of money. The designers that we have are going to design around the current structure. And from what they say, I'm not a builder or a designer, an architect, but it's very easy to do to slap up a hardened structure against our current building, where if we did take a disaster strike or a tornado strike, the existing building would probably collapse, but the hardened structure would stay operational because it would have redundant plumbing, redundant power, redundant utilities in place to keep it running and functioning. Of course, the building itself would be stronger and would not collapse on the employees inside.
Got it. One last question from the Greenway this morning. Security cameras, wireless security cameras that can see at night. You probably have those. Businesses have them. Will you be able at some point to install security cameras along the new Greenway as a deterrent for people that might want to do not nice things?
Sure. We have spoke about this, Mark, in ensuring we secure our greenways, and we're particularly like the way the town center greenway was designed because it's on Mount Juliet Road, it's on Division Street, but it's very visible from the roadway. So when our officers patrol that, they can see the greenway pretty easy from the roadway as they're patrolling late at night or in the evening. But also we have our bicycle patrol officers who will be out on greenways in addition to using our all-terrain vehicles, because officers to ride a bike, they have to be certified in this. Not everyone is certified nor wants to ride the bike, but if there's something where we can put an officer on an ATV to be out there, you'll see them out on the ATVs. We have 3 now as a city to keep our greenways extra patrol. We've also had conversations with our vendor for our automated license plate recognition program camera system, and those cameras have the ability to go out there on the greenway. So if you do see a effort with surveillance on our greenways, it'll be probably connected through the Recor vendor that we have now for our license plate recognition. And there's different things that they can do, from artificial intelligence, whether it's it can identify a face out there on the greenway that probably shouldn't be out there, or if we're looking for someone, it'll alert us on their face. We just don't know if as a department or as a community, they want us using facial recognition just yet. And it may be a larger conversation to have. But it's in the talks, nothing solid whatsoever. But on an initial plan, you'll see officers being able to view the greenway from Division Street. They'll be out there on their bikes and also out there on the ATVs.
Got it. All right. Those were on my list. I'm sure others have questions. I would think so. A lot going on. We were asked about the Christmas parade. Newspapers here. Fire away. I know you're pretty proud of the theme for the Christmas parade this year.
Yeah, hometown heroes, and then our retired officer Zach Atwood, who spent many years with us, is going to be the Grand Marshal. So it'll be a good parade. It's a different route this year. It's from the ball fields along Lebanon Road down to, I guess, the Chamber area on Division Street. But I think it'll be a great parade. Looking forward to it. From a traffic management standpoint, it'll be a lot easier for us.
It'll be a lot easier for little Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts and
That's
people
true.
walk it, man. That's there'll be a lot fewer. I think it'll be probably a lot fewer areas where there's a long quarter-mile stretch where you can't really park a car in front of Great United Methodist or whatever. So.
Right. I know, Mark, we had some questions last Mount Juliet Monday, kind of about our crime and kind of where we stood with the 2019 numbers that finally came in. And the way our crime numbers work is that we submit all of our stuff, and it's kind of almost seems like a year behind. But for 2019, when comparing 2018, the city's crime was reduced about 10%. We also had 16% less traffic crashes during that period, and our crime clearance rate improved by 8%. And the crime clearance rate, that is where a reported crime comes in, and then we're able to solve that crime. So that increased by 8%. Good news, looking at other communities around us, our community remains at a very good level for a crime rate. We remain under 50 at a number of 49. City of Hendersonville is like at a 44, Franklin's at a 33, Brentwood is at a 29, and Nolensville is at a 24. And looking at other communities in our county, Lebanon is at a 90. City of Spring Hill is at 115. Cookeville is at 104. Laverne is at a 66. Gallatin is at a 58. So comparatively, when you look at other communities around us, our crime rate's doing pretty good. It feels like that continues to go down. I can't put what we as a department deter with our Guardian Shield system, but it appears it's keeping a lot of folks out of the community in whatever it may be. But because our crime rate was driven in 2019 a lot by shoplifting. We reported 216 shopliftings. Then we also had 101 theft from a motor vehicle where a vehicle was left unlocked. And then we had 43 stolen cars out of our community last year in 2019, which is very high. But this year it seems to be barely there as a number, which is good. And again, I don't know if it's related to COVID, tornado, or the Guardian Shield system, but crime seems to be very low this year, which is a nice thing. Other stuff that drives our crime is the proactive activity that officers do. So you may think you're working hard to deter crime and be proactive and keep the bad guns and drugs out of the city. And so when officers go out there and do that work, that's considered a crime, and that goes against our crime rate. But officers last year made a 435 drug arrests, 255 narcotic equipment violations. And we reported as a department about 1,800 crimes were reported in Mount Juliet in 2019. So if you add the shoplifting's up, the proactive activity stuff that's out there, it really shows what drives our crime numbers. It's our officers being active, working hard, in finding the crime proactively, but also it's related to a lot of shoplifting and unlocked vehicle burglaries.
As we were reading what was happening in other communities, enforce, don't enforce, are you at liberty to kind of report on phone calls that you might have gotten about people in blatant violation of gatherings without face masks? I mean, how much did you find yourself sort of in the middle of being counselors, peacekeepers, educators on face masks and COVID-related things?
Sure, yeah, I can speak on that. So I would say the complaints in to us seem to be fairly low. I would say anywhere from 15 to 20 actual complaints where we had to look into. And then if we had a complaint at a business, whether it be a restaurant, a hair salon, maybe a more bar type business in the community, that would be handled by our detective division. And we would send just plainclothes officers down there to look to see what type of activity was occurring. And if there was an issue that needed to be adjusted, we would speak with the owner of the business and just let them know about the complaint and the issue that was noticed by our detectives. We have not had to take any enforcement whatsoever, and we're thankful for that, because that means that most people, when they were warned about something, they complied with it and understood it, and maybe didn't even realize that they were in violation of something. So it was fairly low. We of course got complaints when an officer was pumping gas without a mask on, or forgetting to put his mask on, which officers do. And there's times when our officers simply can't wear a mask because the activity that occurs that they get involved in, it happens too quick. And when you take the time to stick a mask on your face, it may interfere with your officer safety. So I think everyone, though, is working with an effort to be mindful of the virus that we have out here in the nation and in our community, and everyone is just working together towards that. We don't expect perfection with anything, and everyone has their own mindset about it. We just want to do what we think is the right thing to do as a department, and our folks are wearing masks when they're able to put them on. But as in regards to enforcement, compliance that we've seen is very high, and if there's not compliance, a simple warning gets them into compliance.
That's good news. That's if I was going to write the response, just guessing, mine would have been pretty darn close to that. So,
Yeah.
Does anybody have anything else? Is there anything, Tyler,
I was wondering,
as we look towards the Christmas shopping? That's always, I'm sure that has a lot to do with the shoplifting, but you had a couple of words of wisdom to pass along to most of us live in or near the community and have businesses. What should we be on the lookout for as foot traffic picks up in our retail centers?
Yeah, absolutely. So with Christmas shopping, you see more activity related to shoplifting, but also those who want to steal from us. And what they're looking for is they're looking for unlocked vehicles, or if the vehicle is locked and they look into a vehicle and they see a nice purse or some stuff from Best Buy or a wallet or a handgun, then that person is then more apt or more motivated to take that extra risk to break through the window. So we want to make sure that people are hiding their valuables. If you're shopping, don't leave a lot of your new stuff very visible in the car. Hide that, place it in the trunk if you have one. If you drive an SUV or a van, cover it with something. But really keeping those doors locked, hiding your valuables. If you see a suspicious activity in the shopping areas or in your business, please give us a call. It doesn't, and I tell people all the time, it doesn't matter how non-legit you think it may be. If it makes you feel funny, if something's odd that you see or around, just call us. We would much rather know about it, get out there and look into it and find that it's just false and the assumption was wrong, rather than you have an assumption and then you never call us and then something happens and we never are able to get there on time to apprehend that person. But always call us if there's anything that seems weird about your shopping experience, or you see someone acting suspiciously, so we can get out there as quick as we can and look into it and determine if it's legit or not legit. But that's really it, Mark. It's really what we see related to that is the shoplifting, the unlocked vehicle burglaries, and we want people to report anything they see suspicious whatsoever.
All right. Did I cut somebody off? Jim, did you start to say something?
Tyler, I was wondering, I saw some, a few days ago, there was some BLM activity down by the chamber building down the lot down there. I was wondering if that was a permitted assembly or if that was something that just popped up, or, what the situation was there. Haven't seen them back. But.
Sure. So the activity that you've seen out there, they have made us aware of that. It's typically been on Thursdays. I think when maybe a national event happens, such as the death of Justice Ginsburg, you saw them out that evening as well. But it's been peaceful protest, and that's what we like to see, regardless of what topics being protested or advocated for. It's been peaceful, and we've had conversations with the different groups to ensure it remains peaceful. They've had an open dialogue with us, so we haven't had any issues out of it whatsoever, nor do I expect anything from those members of that group who are out there, because it's been organized by them, and they're making an effort to ensure it's peaceful, so law enforcement doesn't have to get involved if there is a roadway blocked or if there's behavior that's unlawful out there. So we've been very grateful of that, and they've been out there just peacefully advocating for their cause.
Before our time ends, when, and I'm assuming you or someone from the police department is going to be on the city's parks department parade committee, when it comes time and you know about road closures and things like that, or even the times, we've got places like salons, a funeral home, some of the churches. It's easy to assume you think most will know about it.
Sure.
But if we can help you get the word out to let those businesses know, maybe they keep a family from having a funeral service at 10 o'clock on Christmas parade day or something like that. I know you're probably not going to have the run, if I'm mistaken, maybe, or at least a scaled down version. Be sure to let us know so we can help businesses. There's pluses and minuses. Some it will be an inconvenience because they won't have traffic flow.
Right.
Others, it'll be an increase in business because they'll have all kinds of foot traffic if people walk in front of them. So
right.
We'll let them know if you'll share with us the plan.
Yeah, absolutely. And that plan should be wrapping up fairly soon. We do have a member of our department that sits on the parade committee to help advise them on things. That's Corporal Taylor with our community engagement unit. So I think that plan's wrapping up soon. So we should hopefully be able to get that information out there fairly quickly, just so everyone is aware about it. But we're looking forward to it. It should be a good parade. It has a great hometown heroes theme for all of our firefighters, our hospital staff, and law enforcement that's out there, and really everyone that's been kicking in extra duty to get through these moments that we've had in our community, from tornado to now COVID. But should be a great time for all of us.
Are you going to include educators in your heroes?
Yes, educators are in there too. Thank you for mentioning that. There's a lot that you think of, and you think of, down to the folks that are at grocery stores and work at all these other businesses that have remained open. Everyone really has been working hard to be that hometown hero, to kick through all this that we're working with, and we're just appreciative of everyone. And I mean, definitely our community as Mount Juliet, I think we're very unique. I think it's unique just because we have all the folks here on this Zoom call now that make it unique. But in addition to our community itself and what this community does for each other to get us through different things that happen, we truly lift each other up. And it's very, very nice to see that regardless of what divide we see on a national level, I don't see much of a divide here in our community of Mount Juliet. And that's where I think Kitty Martin has that saying that we can, you can focus and look at stuff that's happening nationally, but we really need to focus on what's happening in our community, because that's where we can make a difference every single day, is on the local level. A lot of us, like me and you and us on here, there's not much we can do on a national level other than get out and vote. but on a local level, we can do a lot to impact our community in a positive way.
I would imagine one of these days there'll be a divide on Friday night between Green Hill High School and the Golden Bears at Mount Juliet on a football game. We can mend that at breakfast on Hardee's on Saturday morning, I guess. So,
That's it. If that's the only divide we have, I'm good with that.
you know, when you were talking about heroes, and I'm sure there's many, so I won't, but I will throw one name out that might fall through the cracks, that to me, and I think it's a lady that owns this business that ought to have a convertible from one of the car dealers, is the folks and our friends at Grade A Construction. I'm sure there were many, but what I saw coming out of the Valley Center on that morning, 100 pieces of equipment or whatever, I mean, they literally, it looked like they stopped. It was very impressive, and you don't think about it, but you needed dump trucks, all of that kind of equipment. And I'm sure there was folks from Middle Tennessee Electric, NES, Public Works.
Absolutely.
And I can tell you, at least for a reasonable period of time, we would have been going nowhere without the help of those folks. So, and our pastors at the churches, you know, so maybe we wouldn't have as many people in the parade as we put non-heroes, because at some point there aren't too many people that didn't have a role to play in all of that.
I'm telling you, and I think that's why our community was able to recover so quickly and get us through that initial phase of recovery that we did, because we, you know, again, speaking with FEMA and TEMA and everyone else who came out here, they were absolutely amazed by the organization that was drummed up so early to start the cleanup effort, and they were amazed by the amount of equipment that was out there already cleaning stuff up. And it really was a lot of people just gave their time. Businesses gave their equipment, and of course that costs things, right? So they just gave up a lot for those first 2 weeks to really get us back to a point where we could focus on the recovery of rebuilding homes and getting everything actually just cleaned up. It was amazing to me. I've never been through something like that before, so I don't know what to expect. But when you look at other areas across the country that have been devastated by disasters, whether hurricane or tornado, we really cleaned up pretty quickly. And again, a testament just to everyone in the community that made that happen.
You know, those that got out saw the devastation and all of that. That as time goes on, those memories of you know, those will probably subside a little bit. But how you felt when you saw those people, we'll be telling our kids and grandkids about that. That will never go away. So
Sure.
does anybody have any questions or thoughts, feedback, suggestions, or anything for my friend Tyler? We love having you guys on here.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark.
Chief's apparently on some sort of special assignment undercover, right?
That's it.
With his wife.
Hey, Mark.
Yeah.
Hey, this is Kenny. I just want to say I appreciate everybody at the chamber. Thanks for the ribbon cutting this morning, and I also like to brag on Captain Chandler. I've watched him grow up and grow with the department, and he's an absolute rock star, and I appreciate everything he does.
I think there's a reason why you got him on the camera doing the talking, Kenny. I think that's good management right there, because he is awesome at what he does. So, all right. Well, if there's nothing
Thank
else, we'll. Miss Phyllis is waving her hand like the third grader in the back of the class that's got to go potty. What's up, Miss Phyllis?
I just want to say thank you. The police department, you're phenomenal. When I was at Stoner Creek, y'all took care of me, and what I see in our community, you can't compare.
Sure.
I'm so proud that I live here, and just thank you for taking care of us.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. And we have a lot of unique folks here. Some people, you know, come to work and they do their 8 or 10 and go home, but there's a lot of people at our department that truly devote their lives to serving this Mount Juliet community. And I think that's what kind of sets us apart is we live here, we grew up here, we really care about this city. We want to see it do good. And we definitely want to see this police department excel beyond others that are out there.
I'm looking at the planning department's memo for what's coming up at the Open Tech Review tomorrow. And I can't help but know that with all of these, there's residential project after residential project after residential project coming up on the agenda, working its way through the process. I believe that is the outcome or one of the consequences or benefits of having good education, awesome police department, low crime, is people want to be here. So it should be no surprise that we see the growth that we do, because a lot of folks want to be part of what's going on here. So if nobody has anything else with that, we'll adjourn until our Wilson County Wednesday. I hope you'll join us for that. Networks tomorrow. The first 15 people that register online can have a seat as we transition back into kind of a hybrid networking. The rest will be on Zoom. And October 21st, we'll have our monthly luncheon, same way. Limited number of seats so we can social distance properly. The rest will be tuning in virtually. So with that, I hope everybody has a fantastic day. Thanks for what each one of you do.
Right. Thank you all.
Bye.